What is going on, everybody? Welcome back to another episode of Murph's Boston Sports Talk. I am your host, James Murphy, aka Murph, and thank you so much for joining me for episode number 101. Yes, today's episode 101 is the first episode on the other side of the triple digit, of the C note, of the hundo. I don't know. Let's just keep thinking of crazy nicknames for 100, shall we? For $1, right? Because, dollars 100, whatever, right? But thank you so much for everyone who watched the live stream and participated and joined. I really appreciate that. But we are on the other side of 100 now. We are at 101, so we must continue forward. But I do want to take a moment to be appreciative of 100 episodes, as it's been truly a fantastic and humbling experience. With that being out of the way, hopefully you had a fantastic weekend and stayed dried. I know a lot of people lost power, experienced some flooding. It was really tough this past weekend from a storm that I don't know if it went under the radar or if it just people didn't think it was going to be that serious. I had no idea that we were going to get this kind of weather, to be honest, but we did. But we did. And then Sunday was a beautiful, absolutely beautiful day. And honestly, it was nice to have a true fall feeling kind of a day, because honestly, once it hit October, or once it hit like this the autumnal equinox, it just got freezing cold and it felt like it was winter. But yesterday felt like a true winter day, so it was nice to see that. And I do have this. I am starting this episode with some sad news. Obviously, we all probably know at this point, on Saturday, October 30th, longtime Red Sox broadcaster and former player Jerry Remy passed away at the age of 68. He has been battling lung cancer for over a decade, and it's just tragic. Right? Tragic. We found out about this Sunday being yesterday. And you know me, I like to be happy. I like to be chippy. I like to be, very energetic. But there are times where you have to take a moment for a serious matter. Just talk about it in a serious, connotation. When David Pastrnak lost his 6-day-old son, obviously, I wasn't all chippy and excited and energized, right? Because that was a serious moment. I paid my respects, talked about it for a brief time, and then moved on. And I feel like, obviously, Remdog, being a part of the Red Sox organization, not only as a player for 7 years, but as a commentator for almost 3 decades, right? 98, 08, 18, over 3 decades, because he started in 1988. So I want to spend the first few minutes of today's episode talking about him and how much he meant to Red Sox Nation, the Red Sox organization, and just, like I said, reflect on a tremendous person, right? Everyone loved him. Everybody liked him. He's from Fall River. He was born in Fall River. He went to Somerset High School, so he's from that area. He was drafted in the 19th round of the 1970 MLB June Amateur Draft by the Washington Senators, and then I didn't know this. He was then drafted again by the California Angels in the 8th round of the 1971 January draft secondary phase, from Roger Williams University, Bristol, Rhode Island. I didn't know that was a thing. So let me just kind of briefly explain that. He got drafted out of high school, probably didn't come to an agreement. He went to a year at college, helped his stock value, and then he got drafted in the 8th round by the California Angels. That is a thing. I did not know. I know that's a thing in basketball now. I didn't know it was in baseball. I know in baseball, if you don't come to agreement, you go back to usually your college. Like, look at Kumar Rocker. He got drafted by the Mets, the 11th overall pick. They didn't come to an agreement. Now he's back at Vanderbilt. So it happens. You just don't hear about it all too often. And I guess Remy being in high school at the time, he was able to go to college, obviously. So good for him. And obviously, became a 11 rounds better of a prospect and was drafted by the California Angels. He spent the first 3 years of his career his first 3 professional years in California with the Angels in 75, 76, and 77. He was then signed by the Red Sox in 78, where he made his first and only All-Star appearance. That year, he batted .278 with a .321 on-base percentage, .350 slugging, .671 on-base plus slugging. Also that year, he had 583 at-bats. He hit 162 balls, 24 doubles, 6 triples, 2 home runs, 44 RBIs, 30 stolen bases, 13 times was he caught stolen, 40 walks, all in 148 games. So, Rem Dog, well-deserving of an All-Star appearance that year. And he would play the rest of his career up until 1984 with the Boston Red Sox, where he did retire after 10 full seasons in Major League Baseball, 3 with the California Angels and 7 with the Boston Red Sox. After that, in 1988, Remy became a broadcaster, became the color commentator for NESN's Red Sox broadcast. Those don't know, NESN is where you can find the Red Sox and the Bruins. And Jerry Remy's been the color guy, with Sean McDonough, with Don Orsillo, lately with Dave O'Brien. It's, he's been a part of this team for 4 decades, if you want to obviously consider his playing time. Quite frankly, I am surprised his number 2 wasn't retired already. I figured that it would have been retired at some point. Obviously, Alexander Bogaerts wears the number now. Could we? I don't want the Red Sox to retire his number because he passed away. I want them to retire it because he deserves it. I mean, obviously on the field, he wasn't the greatest of players, but it's not just that. It's the impact that he had with the team is why he is deserving to have his number retired. Look at Johnny Pesky. Similar situation. A good player. Was he a great player? No, but it's what he did for the team and the impact he had for the team. I mean, yes, Pesky hit .307 in his career, but I mean, he spent his almost entire, post-career in the Red Sox organization. I mean, Johnny Pesky was with the Sox for 10 years, and then he was, in the dugout for a long period of time. He was in the dugout being a coach, assisting, giving wisdom, this and that. And in a similar way, they respected Johnny Pesky. But in a similar way, I think they should do the same thing to Jerry Remy. Now, obviously, with Alexander Bogaerts wearing number 2 right now, it would be a little bit challenging. But I'm sure they could easily come to some form of agreement of sorts. Maybe they'll wait for Alexander Bogaerts to whether retire, leave, whatever it may be. That's a conversation for another day. But I think Jerry Remy's number should have been retired well before he passed away. And obviously now that he's passed away, it'd be nice for the fan base to remember him forever with number 2 being, hung up and never worn again. So, very difficult time in Red Sox Nation, New England, and all across baseball. Fox last night during the World Series took a moment. It was like in the 6th inning or the start of the 7th inning. They took a moment and be like, hey, Jerry Remy passed away, voice of the Red Sox, baseball favorite and stuff like that. So that was very nice of Fox during the World Series to take, 20 seconds out of their presentation of the game last night to remember Jerry Remy, which, I mean, a lot of people will know him for his baseball time. A lot of people will know him for his, his broadcasting career. It's just when you're with the team for over 40 years and you grew up in the area, the emotional connection goes both ways and it's deep both ways. Jerry Remy will be absolutely missed for his personality, his knowledge, his wisdom, his energy. And there will never be another Jerry Remy again. As great as Dennis Eckersley is doing in the booth with Dave O'Brien during Red Sox broadcasts, he's no Jerry Remy. I don't want him to be a Jerry Remy because I don't want anyone to be Jerry Remy. I want Eck to be Eck. But just know, moving forward, with no Jerry Remy in the booth, it will be completely different. Now, I know he's missed some time, battling cancer and stuff over, this long battle with cancer. He's missed some time, but we always knew he was going to come back. And unfortunately, it's not coming back. So, I hate to start this episode very sad and upsetting, but I had to pay my respects and talk about Jerry Remy, who was a monumental figure in Red Sox Nation. He was inducted to the Red Sox Hall of Fame in 2006. He was elected as honorary president of Red Sox Nation in 2007, and he was inducted into the Massachusetts Broadcasters Hall of Fame in 2017. A career that a lot of people would love to have. You play the game you love for the team that you grew up loving, and then you became a broadcaster for the team that you grew up loving, the team that you played for, It's just, he will be immensely missed. And I hope that he can finally rest in peace, no longer having to battle with lung cancer. And I hope that his family can find peace and prosperity while they mourn the death of Jerry Remy. So that's going to be all I'm going to talk about Jerry Remy. If you just give me like 5 seconds to kind of change things up, because obviously I want to bring that energy back to this episode of, all excitement and stuff. But just talking about that for 10 minutes or so, it's going to be a little bit challenging. So just kind of work with me as I talk about the Patriots. The energy will come. But just, here we go. So the Patriots beat the Chargers 27-24 yesterday in Los Angeles at SoFi Stadium. Offense, Mac Jones, 18 for 35, 218 yards, no touchdowns, no picks. Didn't play his best. It's going to happen. But he didn't lose us the game. He didn't put us in losing positions. And when needed to be executed, he executed winning plays. I mean, the Patriots were down early. They were down, 14-7 at one point, and then it was like, I don't know. It was just a back and forth game. It was a really good back and forth game that was refreshing because the Chargers are proclaimed to be one of the best up and coming teams, one of the better younger teams in the league. Obviously, they have Justin Herbert, who is a budding face of the NFL. And the Red Sox. See, I talked about this last week on Monday, how we'll be talking about one team, and then I'll talk about another, but I'll still refer to them as the first team. But the Patriots were still able to do it. Defense gave up 24 points, but honestly, I'll take that 24 points because Herbert also went 18 for 35, 223 yards, 2 touchdowns, and 2 interceptions. I'll take that. Yeah, Keenan Allen had 6 receptions for 77 yards and a touchdown. Eckler had 6 for 60 as well. Also 11 for 64 on the ground with a touchdown. But that was it. I mean, 24 points. You'd want to see that number a little bit lower, but all things considered, you can't complain at all about it. You cannot complain at all about it because you were able to slow down one of the best young quarterbacks in the league. You were able to predominantly slow down Austin Eckler, one of the best pass-catching running backs in the league. Keenan Allen had a decent day, 6 for 77, a touchdown, like I said. Jared Cook was quiet. Mike Williams, who's been awesome this year, has been quiet. And you were really able to execute defensively. Offensively, the running game looked good. Harris had 23 carries, 80 yards, and a touchdown. I'll take that. Bolden, 4 for 26. Ramondre Stevenson, 8 for 25. Good to see him getting some playing time today. And then, looking at the receivers, Aguilar, 3 for 60. Bourne, 4 for 38. Myers, 4 for 37. Hunter Henry, 1 for 33. So, offensive production, a little lackluster. But like I said, the job got done. No matter how you want to look at it. The job was done. And honestly, the MVP of that day was Nick Folk. 4 for 4 on field goals. 100% kicking accuracy as he hit a 48 long. And he had 13 total points that day. Absolute stud. Absolute stud that day. Obviously, it was a total team effort. Offense, defense, and special teams. It was good to see the Patriots get this win because, as I mentioned a bunch of times that the Patriots need a win the next 2 of 3 games, starting with the Jets, Chargers, and then finishing with the Panthers before the Browns come into town. And I thought the Chargers were going to be the most challenging opponent out of those 3, Jets, Chargers, Panthers. But they were able to beat them. So now if you can beat the Panthers here, improve to over 500 for the first time this year, 5-4. Now we can get some juice. We can get the wheels spinning a little bit, right? Let's take a look at the AFC wildcard standings. I should have had this brought up, but I did not. All right, Tennessee is 6-2, the 1 seed in the conference. However, they're potentially losing Derrick Henry to a season-ending injury. And then if you just go down the league, Buffalo's 5-2, Baltimore's 5-2, Raiders are 5-2, Bengals 5-3, terrible loss to the Jets, by the way. Pittsburgh's 4-3, Chargers just beat a 4-3, so it's good to have that tiebreaker because you, Cleveland, and Denver are right on the outside at 4-4 apiece. Right on the outside. Patriots are 4-1 in the conference, which is really good. Obviously, they have 2 wins against the Jets, 1 against the Texans, but now you have a legitimate win against the Chargers, which a lot of people were questioning last week's win against the Jets because it's the Jets. It's the Jets. You dropped 54, but it's the Jets. So, okay, fair enough, but now you were able to go out and actually get a legitimate win against a legitimate American Football Conference team in the Los Angeles Chargers. Obviously, you moved to 5-4. You got to wait for things to happen in the conference. But like I mentioned before, this conference is good. You have plenty of teams at or above 500. The Chiefs are 3-4 right behind you. Colts are 3-5 right behind them. Outside looking in, but still, a lot of people have had hope for the Colts. Kansas City, as on and off as they've been all year, I'm not ready to call it quits on counting out the Chiefs and Patrick Mahomes this year. I'm not because, the Raiders are 5-2, and I think they're a legitimate team this year. I'm just not ready to, call that division theirs. I'm not. I do like what the Patriots are doing. Obviously, again, those 2 wins, absolutely crucial. But keep going. Keep going. Get me another win against the Panthers next week. Improve to 5-4. Maybe the Steelers will lose. They'll go to 4-4, and then you'll be 5-4, vaulting them in the conference. Or maybe the same thing will happen to the Chargers, where they'll go 4-4, lose at Philly, and you'll win, and you'll vault them, and now you're in the playoff picture. Getting to 500 for the Patriots was immensely crucial. It was completely important, because if you lost that game and you go 3-5, well, now you're no better than the Chiefs. You're no better than the Colts. You just took a massive step back after winning against the Jets the week before, almost beating the Cowboys the week prior. So every game at this point obviously is important because you're already 4 losses in the book. You got the Panthers coming up on Sunday, which I believe you can win. I think you should win. Then you got the Browns after that on November 14th. I know Baker Mayfield did play this week, but you still have to question his health and the health of the entirety of the Browns offense, for that matter. I don't think that game is as much as a loss as I may have thought it was at the beginning of the year. So that's going to be a good game. Then you have Atlanta in Atlanta. What is that? Is that a Thursday night game? Yeah, that is a Thursday night game. Patriots, Falcons, Thursday night in ATL. That's going to be a good game, but a winnable game. An absolutely winnable game. And then as we get to the end of November, Titans, Patriots. That's going to be an interesting game because obviously Derrick Henry's health will be determined by then. He is potentially out for the rest of the season with a foot injury, I believe. Obviously, that team has Julio Jones, A.J. Brown, Ryan Tannehill. They have other playmakers. But not having Derrick Henry to kind of round out that offense is going to be a massive blow. So could that Titans game be more winnable than we thought? And then obviously you got the Bills first week in December, but let's not get there. Let's focus about what's in front of us here in November. I like where the Patriots are at right now. They've battled adversity. They've fought back. They are in a season-shifting position now at 500. They can go on a 3-4 game win streak. Now we're a little over 500. Now we're in the playoff picture, contending. These are all things that we can say now that they're 4-4, looking at the schedule and how all the other teams have panned out through 8 weeks. These are things you can say. However, if they were 3-5, these things that we can't say because we gotta win against the Panthers, then we gotta beat the Browns to get to 500 to be 5-5. But now we're already at week 10, only 7 weeks left. 8 weeks left, 7 games left because of the bye week. 5-5. Where's everyone else going to be? I mean, if you look at Titans already have 6 wins, Vegas already has 5, Baltimore, Buffalo, Cincinnati, they're all already at 5. If the Chargers were to have beaten you, they would be 5-2 as well right now. So being 4-4 is so much more important than being 3-5, and that cannot be overlooked at all. Because as much of a reaching possibility as it is, the Patriots can still make the playoffs. They can. I think that the Panthers is a winnable game. The Browns is a winnable game. Falcons is a winnable game. I would say, looking at those 3 games, they should be able to win all 3 of them, but I'll take at least 2 of them. Titans, that has become a winnable game. The Bills, that's going to be a questionable game. The Colts, you can win that game. Bills, again, we'll see. Jags should be a winnable game, and then the Dolphins, you should be able to win that game. So there's a lot of games that the Patriots can and should win moving forward the rest of the season. But you can't get caught up in, the Bills in week 15 or week 16, whatever the hell week it is. Let's just focus on the Panthers right now. Maybe think about the Browns, but let's just get through, improve to 5-4, take that momentum, go to 6-4, take that momentum, and keep going and going. You have a young quarterback who's learning on the fly. He didn't have the luxury to sit out a year, learn from an experienced veteran quarterback like Mahomes did with Alex Smith, or what Herbert was going to do with Tyrod Taylor. He got vaulted in because the whole lung puncture that Tyrod Taylor suffered with the trainer stabbing him, essentially. But I think he's doing a great job, Mac Jones. Like I mentioned at the beginning when I was talking about the Patriots, he didn't lose you the game. He didn't put you in losing positions. He didn't win you the game, but he put you in winning positions. And honestly, right now, being a game manager is all you can ask for Mac Jones. That's all you should expect. And anything better than game managing is incredible. Like the first week against the Dolphins, Mac Jones was marching the Patriots down the field. Damian Harris fumbles. Mac Jones puts you in a game-winning position. Against the Buccaneers, took the ball with under 2 minutes or whatever it was, put you in a game-winning position to kick that field goal. Folk missed the field goal, but still, he put you in that position to win the game, or at least take the lead, right? I mean, Brady still would have had like 45 seconds, so. Patriots-Texans. Mac Jones marches down the field to get a go-ahead, field goal, but before that, Patriots were down like 22-9, or whatever it was. Helped you come back and win that game. Back and forth game against the Cowboys. You were winning, you were losing, you were winning, you were losing. It was tied, you were winning, you're losing. I mean, that game's on the defense, but Mac Jones still, possession for possession, pound for pound with the Cowboys, kept putting you in position to take the lead, to tie the game, etc., etc. And obviously, again, with the Chargers game, he was able to do that. So I know I made the video, Mac Jones sucks video to try to, quiet down all the haters. But Mac Jones legitimately does not suck. He's performing way better than all the other rookie quarterbacks from this class. He is. I mean, Fields had a nice day. He's looking better. I do think because Matt Nagy wasn't there, to be honest. But honestly, Mac Jones is performing very well, all things considered. No legitimate wide receivers. The tight ends are good. They're supposed to be great. The running game has been very inconsistent. The offensive line has been dinged up. Your schedule could have been tougher than we expected. Yeah, I do. I think so. I mean, I think that Saints game was a tough one. The Buccaneers was a tough one. Texans was a tough one, but it shouldn't have been. Cowboys, tough one, obviously. And then this Chargers game was a really good one. I like where the Patriots are going. I'm in a much better mood now that they're 4-4 than they were when they were 2-4, 3-4, or if they were 3-5. There's a lot of hope right now for the Patriots. A lot of optimism in Foxborough, in New England. And let's ride the wave. Let's ride this wave. Let's use this momentum to go into Carolina and beat a struggling Panthers team. And with that, speaking of the Panthers, let's pivot to the NFL where we can talk about some scores. Packers beat the Cardinals, the remaining undefeated team, 24-21, as we known on Thursday Night Football. But speaking about the Panthers, they defeated the Falcons 19-13 in Atlanta. I believe I picked Carolina to win. I don't remember, to be honest. I don't remember. It was on Friday. It was during the live stream. I forget. Titans beat the Colts 34-31 in overtime. I did pick the Titans to win that game. Bills defeated the Dolphins 26-21. I'm sorry, 26-11, excuse me. Jets beat the Bengals 34-31. I thought that was going to be a cakewalk for the Bengals. It was not. It was the farthest thing from it, as they suffer a crucial loss, as now they are no longer leading the AFC or the AFC North. Steelers beat the Browns 15-10. Seemed like a baseball score in a way. Eagles decimated the Lions 44-6. Rams beat the Texans 38-22. That game was a little close for a long time. Didn't like that. 49ers beat the Bears 33-22. I picked the Bears in that one because of Justin Fields, and I think that would have been a nice little win. But no, 49ers still trying to prove themselves as a playoff contending team, and they do so at Soldier Field. Patriots defeated the Chargers 27-24. That was we already discussed. Seahawks beat the Jaguars 31-7. Really good game without Russell Wilson, obviously, letting the offense and the defense have a really good day. Good for the Seahawks to maintain their competitive nature in the NFC picture, even though it is a far, far outlook looking in. Saints beat the Buccaneers 36-27. Honestly, I did not expect that, especially with Jameis Winston going out of the game with a knee injury. Hopefully he's okay. But Trevor Siemian stepping up, being a game manager, but also putting the Saints in position to win that game. Unbelievable. Buccaneers were down with 21-3 at one point, or 24-3, something like that at one point. Little too much, little too late. Saints do get the win in both of their, what am I trying to say? In the team's first matchup of the season. There we go. Washington football team fell to the Denver Broncos in the Mile High City 17-10. Football team's just not having a good year. I think it's just time for them to pack it in. Cowboys beat the Vikings 20-16. And then obviously we have the Giants visiting the Chiefs on Monday Night Football. Why do we need that game on Monday Night Football? I don't know. I would have rather have had the Buccaneers Saints be a Monday Night Football game, or the Chargers Patriots be a Monday Night Football game, or the Steelers Browns, Dolphins Bills, Titans Colts. Like, I'd rather all that be my. I don't need. Why is an interconference game on Monday Night Football? Like, I understand you're the Chiefs and all that, defending AFC champions. Obviously, the schedule is made way in advance. Obviously, the good teams are going to have primetime games. I get that. But on the other side of the coin, good teams have primetime games. So why are the Giants playing the Chiefs? Like, I hate how they schedule it. They'll do interconference, interdivision games on Thursday Night Football. Like, I know that they'll have some conference games or same division games from Thursday Night Football or Monday Night Football, excuse me. Oh, but it's annoying. Let's go all the way back. Week 1, Buccaneers, Cowboys, obviously opening the season, a little bit of a different story. Ravens, Raiders, Monday night. Do I really need that? Nah. I mean, Raiders weren't supposed to be good, and now they are kind of good, so it worked out. But Giants, Washington, okay, conference, interdivision. Lions, Packers, Monday, like that. Panthers, Texans on Thursday, didn't need that. Let's see. Eagles, Cowboys on Monday, sure. Jaguars, Bengals, matchup of 2 number 1 picks, quarterbacks, okay, fine. But Raiders, Chargers, I'll take that because that's AFC West. Rams, Seahawks, I'll take that. Colts, Ravens, Buccaneers, Eagles, didn't need that. Bills, Titans, good potential playoff matchup, okay, fine. Broncos, Browns, didn't need that. Saints, Seahawks, good potential playoff matchup. Obviously, no Wilson, but we didn't know that when making the schedule, right? So, okay, fine. Packers, Cardinals. I don't think people expected the Cardinals to be undefeated or have a winning record. I think this was kind of like a throw-in game, kind of like a Ravens-Raiders kind of a game where we know the Packers are going to be good, like we know the Ravens are going to be good. But I don't think people expected the Cardinals or the Raiders to be good, so they kind of just like, hey, just throw them on Thursday. But it ended up being a great game. Don't get me wrong. I'm not complaining, but I think at the beginning of the season, that's a game that we didn't need. Giants, Chiefs, don't need that. Jets, Colts, don't need that. Bears, Steelers on Monday, don't need that. Week 10, Ravens, Dolphins, don't need that. Rams, 49ers, Week 10, Monday Night Football, absolutely. Week 11, Patriots, Falcons, Thursday night. Rematch of Super Bowl 51 is the only excuse. Giants, Buccaneers on Monday Night Football, don't need that. Bears, Lions, sure. Seahawks football team, no. Cowboys, Saints, potential playoff matchup, sure. Patriots, Bills on Monday Night Football, yes. Steelers, Vikings, Thursday, no. Rams, Cardinals on Monday night, sure. Chiefs, Chargers, sure. Same division. Vikings, Bears, yes. 49ers, Titans, no. Dolphins, Saints on Monday, no. Giants, Bears, no. Browns, Steelers, Monday night, sure. Washington football team against the Giants on Thursday, I guess. Oh, wait, no, Thursday night, there's no more Thursday. There's no more Thursday. Week 18, 17, and I just lied to you for a couple weeks. Christmas, it's going to be a little wonky. Okay, so week 16, 49ers, Titans is the last Thursday night game. So there's plenty of games that I was like, yeah, sure, makes sense. And there's plenty of games that were like, no, this makes absolutely no sense. But I'm going to stop talking about Thursday night and Monday night football games because let's just talk about the Bruins. All right, let's just talk about the Bruins. Bruins took a tough loss against the Florida Panthers, 4-1 on Wednesday. Then another tough loss, getting shut out 3-0 to the Hurricanes. But they were able to beat the Panthers 3-2 in shootout in Boston on Saturday. Good win. Bruins are going to be off for a couple days. They don't play again until November 4th, which is a Thursday, where they welcome in the Red Wings into town. Bruins right now, it's early. 7 games in. It's tough. It's tough right now, all right? You have a lot of new pieces and a lot of new faces on this team trying to figure out, obviously their role, how they can contribute, what they need to do, what they can't do maybe. So, 4-3 early in the season, I'll take it, sure. The one thing I don't like about this team is the goals for and goals against. Now, I understand you have Swayman, young guy. You have Allmark, relatively young guy who has never been in a position where he's going to be playing meaningful hockey games because he was in Buffalo for the first part of his career. I'm just trying to move in and get closer to the microphone. A little chilly. And that's the only thing I wish they would improve on. 4-3, 8 points, I'll take it for now. Obviously, this time in a couple weeks, I'd like to, maybe 15 games, I'd like to see a little bit of better disparity in the win-to-loss record. No overtime losses yet or shootout losses yet for the Bruins. But looking at the division, the Atlantic Division, the Panthers 8-0-1, Sabres 5-2-1, Red Wings 4-3-2. Are these teams that we expected to be at the top of the division? No. We obviously expected the Panthers to take a step up from last year. But I definitely wasn't going to say start the year 8-0, undefeated, and then, have an overtime loss. So you're still technically undefeated. So I didn't expect that at all. Sabres, no one saw this coming. I mean, it was a dumpster fire for the team for the past few years. Now, again, it's still early. Things could easily change. I mean, the Bruins are 4-3 right now. The Red Wings are 4-3-2. So, I mean, the only thing separating them is just one Bruins win. Simple as that. So, things are still early. You got to look at it as, like I said in football, good teams are going to start cold or hot. Bad teams are going to start cold or hot. Hockey, basketball, you got to wait for like 20 games in to really get a good idea, first quarter of the season to get the idea of who's going to be good, who's potentially legitimate. Obviously, things can still change, especially when it comes down to points. So a loss in overtime isn't actually a real loss. You still get 1 point. And at the end of the day, when points are what are king in hockey, you'll take all the overtime losses you can get and compared to a regulation loss. Simple as that. I like where the Bruins are at right now. Like I said, the only thing I would change is the goal difference. I wish they could work on that and just tighten up a little bit on defense. But overall, it's still early. I think they're playing really good hockey. They're passing the puck around. They're not scoring as much as I thought they would, having only 18 goals for in the first 7 games. I mean, it's the lowest total in the division. I mean, even the Canadiens have 19 goals for. The Senators have 19 goals for. And both of them are at the bottom of the barrel, especially the Canadiens. They're at 2-8. Senators 3-4. So, I mean, those two teams have more goals than you. Like I said, you're the lowest scoring team in the division. I don't think that should be taken lightly because obviously how do you win hockey games? You score goals and you stop goals from going into your net. You stop pucks going into your net, hence goals against. It's hard for me to get too picky and to this on the Bruins. It's still early. Like I said, I want to wait for 20 games in to really have my take and opinion on this team. I think they're going to be in the thick of things. I think they'll be a top 4 team in the division. It's early. Sabres catching, a lot of wind early. Red Wings are hot early. Panthers are super hot early. Are all of this going to stay consistent for the rest of the season? I don't know. I mean, look at the Lightning. They're 4-3-1. They're struggling out of the gate. Maple Leafs 4-4-1. It's just early. Like I said, good teams start cold and hot. Bad teams start cold and hot. But let's just take a quick look at the Bruins' upcoming schedule. I already mentioned that November 4th on Thursday is when the Red Wings will come into town to play the Bruins at the TD Garden. Then Saturday the 6th, the Bruins go up to Toronto for the first time in like forever. In the first time in forever. Bruins will be playing the Maple Leafs north of the border. Then they welcome the Ottawa Senators on next Tuesday, the 9th. So a couple good games coming up. Obviously, Red Wings are playing well. Can you play better? Can you win that game? That'd be a nice little matchup right there to win. Maple Leafs currently better than you, but how much better are they really than you, if any at all, except for a point or two here in the standings? Senators, they suck. Make sure that you win that game. So next 3 games, I think are must-win games for the Bruins just to really set the tempo early because you don't want to fall back too much in the standings, although it's still early, because then if these other teams do come out to be legitimate playoff contenders and hopefuls, it's just going to make your uphill battle all that much harder. And I don't want to see that again last year because the Bruins fought last year very, very hard. They were like the 1 seed, then they fell out to the 4, the 5. They were kind of on that bubble, and then they, eventually got the 3. So, Bruins got to string like a winning streak together here. They can get that going. They would easily vault up in the standings since it's so early. I mean, if they win the next 3 games, that's 6 points. That puts them at 14. That'll put them ahead of the Sabres for number 2. Obviously, considering the Sabres not winning themselves, but you get what I'm saying. So let's switch over to the Celtics here, the other team that plays at the Boston Garden. And I just got on my phone from ESPN 12 minutes ago that Celtics pick up 4th-year option on guard Romeo Langford for 2022-2023. So obviously, good to see Romeo Langford going to be around for another year. I think that the Celtics love him. They want him to be a scorer off the bench, a plug-and-play spot starter. I completely agree. I think he has a little bit more potential than that. But when you have Jaylen Brown, Jason Tatum, Schroeder's been playing nice. Obviously, Marcus Smart. It can be tough to be a scorer in the rotation, in the starting rotation. Hence why I would like to see Marcus Smart, come off the bench more and be a scorer off the bench. Because he can be able to score more, have more opportunities when Brown and Tatum are on the bench instead of taking shots away from them in the starting rotation. So just a little nugget right there about Romeo Langford and, that. But the past couple games for the Celtics, not looking good. Fly. Hate flies. Wizards beat the Celtics 116-107 on Wednesday the 27th. And then the other home-and-home game, overtime loss 115-112 in D.C. Unlike in hockey, there are no points. There's no overtime losses in basketball. So a loss is a loss, whether it's in regulation or overtime. Taking 2 losses against the Wizards doesn't look good. But when you take a quick peek at the standings, and the Wizards are 5-1, obviously 2 games against you, but 3-1 entering that series, you're like, wait a second. This can't be for real. Is this team really that good this year? I don't think the Wizards are going to be good this year. I really don't. But when they're sitting 5-1, way ahead of you compared to your 2-4, you're like, you just got to shut up. Same thing with hockey. I know it's early. But you can't, there's those are 2 games right there that could go to a tiebreaker that you don't have in your back pocket. Now, I'd like to think that it doesn't come to it, but it, down the season when this, the records kind of start to play themselves out, tiebreakers can become important. Celtics are playing the Bulls today at the Garden, 7:30 tip-off. Got to win it. The Bulls are ahead of you by a mile as they're also 5-1. But you can't go to 2-5. And then when you're going to play the Magic, you're going to lose that game. And then you're going to play the Heat. The Magic are 1-6, so that should be a win. But you got the Heat. They're 5-1 right now. You're going to lose that game too. You got to start winning games against teams that you should beat and teams that are better than you, which encompasses a lot. But you know what I'm saying. Win these games now because it's so early in the season. You got to get some momentum because you can't go 3-6 or 3-7. And now it's just like, we're 10 games in. We're, digging ourselves a hole. There's a lot of hopes and expectations this year for the Celtics. A lot of people think that the conference is wide open. The Knicks are playing well. The Heat are playing well. The Wizards and the Bulls are all playing well. The Hornets are playing well. 76ers, they're playing okay. They're 4-2. But they still got some problems. The Raptors are 4-3. The Nets are 4-3. The Hawks are 3-3. The Bucks are 3-4. So it's like your good teams from last year are struggling. And then some teams that were, potential or Cinderella stories or underperformed last year are now playing well this year. Look at the Knicks. They played great last year, Cinderella story, but now they're the 1 seed. Right? The Heat struggled last year a little bit, but hey, now they're, 5-1. Wizards, same thing. The Bulls, the same thing. The Hornets, same thing. Look at the 76ers. They're struggling. The Nets are struggling. The Hawks, the Bucks are struggling. The Celtics are struggling. Has the conference just flipped on its head and all the bad teams are now good and all the good teams are bad? I hope so, just for the sake of diversity in the NBA. But looking at the Western Conference, Jazz are good. Warriors are good. Nuggets are good. Mavs are good. Timberwolves 3-2 3-2. Let's take it with a grain of salt here. Lakers are good. The Kings are 3-3, so take it with a grain of salt. But the Suns are struggling. The Clippers are struggling. Not so much flip-flop there in the Western Conference. It's early. That's all I can say. You got to wait for the 20 games. I'm telling you, 20 games is when you can start to look at it, whether teams seriously or as a joke. But that's going to wrap it up for my... Actually, no, I do want to talk one more thing about the Celtics, and that's the whole Jaylen Brown and COVID situation. So, Jaylen Brown tested positive on October 8th. And I believe he was able to play the opener against New York on the 20th. However, a few games into the season, it's giving him a lot more fatigue. It's affecting him, post game a lot differently. Kind of like what Tatum had last year, I believe. This is from Tim Bontemps of ESPN. He came out with this article on October 29th, so just the other day. I'm not going to read the whole thing, but I just want to kind of read the quote that Brown had. Boston Celtics star Jaylen Brown said that he's still feeling the after effects of COVID-19, saying at times he feels like he's played 3 games in 1. Quote, "I think so," Brown said after Boston's practice when he was asked if he's still recovering from COVID-19, for which he tested earlier this month. Quote, "I've noticed in the last couple of days, 4 games for me now, my body hasn't recovered the same in a sense. I'm talking to our medical staff about that." And then in a separate quote, he said, "Like, I feel great. And then it feels like instead of playing 1 game, it kind of feels like I played 3. I'm used to my body responding and recovering a lot faster. I know I just turned 25, but this can't be what it looks like on the other side." So a little joke right there. Funny. Ha ha ha. COVID affects people differently. It does. I mean, a lot of people suffer fatigue. Some people have no symptoms. A lot of people have this. A lot of people have that. It takes people weeks, months to fully recover from COVID. Some people don't get symptoms at all. Maybe they recover in a few days. COVID's not just one of those things where you can pinpoint, all right, this is how it is. You can suggest it. You can, do research upon it. Sure. I mean, just like having like a cold or being sick. There's a gazillion different types of colds and sicknesses out there. Not one is the same. No two one. Wait, what? What's the saying? No 2 forms of cold sickness the same. Whatever the expression is. And I think COVID obviously has its different shapes and forms and sizes and all that. But when it comes to humans and affecting humans, it don't see color, don't see race, it doesn't see body type, whatever it may be. Ethnicity, nothing. It's going to affect you. And it's going to affect everybody differently. But I don't want to go on too much of a COVID rant or tangent. Yeah, there we go. Tangent. But hopefully Jaylen Brown can overcome this because the Celtics' success is going to be on the heels of him and Tatum and the rest of the team playing as a cohesive unit. But if Brown can't perform, then are the Celtics going to have to pack in the season? Sure as hell hope not. It's kind of why I want the Celtics to make a big splash. Tatum, jokingly said that he's been trying to actively recruit Bradley Beal. Obviously, that's against the tampering rules, but he said it in a joking way that he's talked about and he likes the idea. That's not really tampering. But yes, that's going to wrap it up for today's episode. We talked about a lot. Obviously, rest in peace to Jerry Remy, the Rem Dog. We talked about the Patriots. We took a trip around the NFL, the Bruins, the Celtics. You heard all of my thoughts, all of my opinions. But I want to hear yours. Reach out to me on social media at Murph's Cartown, or if you're watching this on YouTube, please leave a comment down in the comment section below. Your thoughts, questions, comments, concerns, opinions, anything you want to discuss, debate, or argue about. Leave that all down in the comment section below if you're watching on YouTube. And like I said, reach out to me on social media at Murph's Cartown. Also, if you're listening on audio-only platforms, I appreciate every single one of you for downloading, listening, and enjoying Murph's Boston Sports Talk. I greatly appreciate the love and support. And also, if you're watching this on YouTube, thank you so much for liking the video if you did enjoy today's episode, commenting down in the description below like I already mentioned, and also subscribing to the channel if you're new or haven't considered subscribing, as I would greatly appreciate you subscribing, as that is the best way to show support for the podcast, for the shop, the channel, all that and more. That is going to wrap it up for today's episode. I got nothing else to say. We'll talk about, Sunday's slate of games on Friday for episode 102. I got to get used to that. 100. We're over 100 now. Sheesh. I got to get used to that. But that's going to do it for me, guys. I will catch you in the next one. But between now and then, you guys know that I love you. And I will always, always, always see you.